Oh, bear with me. My allergies are bugging me, but I want to get this video in here. So today there have been kind of two hints of what's kind of going on in South Carolina. This is a new poll released, I think it was today, from ARG or American Research Group. And typically their polls a lot of times seem to understate Paul's support. So this is really good news here. It's from January 11th, 12th, 2012, and it shows Paul in a clear third position with 20%. What's remarkable to me about this poll is how bad Santorum did in it. Only 7% in South Carolina, Perry at 9%, and Huntsman at 1%. Gingrich is at 25% in second, and Romney's at first at 29%. So we clearly have Romney, Gingrich, and Paul. Now here's the key: Paul is surging. So how this typically happens is after kind of watching these polls, he could still be gaining while Gingrich might be coming down. So he could actually be in second. And Gingrich, for what I can tell, Gingrich is collapsing. Not necessarily in the polls and not necessarily in South Carolina, but his candidacy has nowhere to go at this point. I mean, he's floundering, coming up with these lame Bain capital attacks that are just bullshit. Just total crap. Even though I think he may have some point, he can't really. It doesn't matter. And Gingrich is getting a lot of votes from evangelicals. Now, this is just one poll, and it's not a poll that I particularly like. So today I've been waiting for public policy polling to see what they come up with. Because as I've been watching these polls this election cycle, I notice that the ones you don't want to follow are Rasmussen and Zogby, or at least Rasmussen in particular. They're wrong half the time. They don't. I don't know. They don't do enough polling or something. PPP, public policy polling, now that they include Paul, seems to be the more reliable. Although one thing I've noticed is that when PPP shows who's surging, that's who you have to watch. Because basically it's undecided voters, and when they start to swing, it's a huge swing because they make up maybe 50% of the people in South Carolina are still undecided. So that's why it's so important to watch who's growing because it's hard to track it. So today, public policy polling via Twitter said this 15 minutes ago. Big gainer since last week in our South Carolina poll, Ron Paul. Big loser since last week, Rick Santorum. Little change for most others. And that is what we see here with the ARG poll. Gingrich and Romney have largely stayed about the same. But Santorum's support has plummeted while Paul has gained. According to some polls, Paul's gained 10 points. So this is actually huge. This is incredible news because it. I think what happens is basically because of New Hampshire and Iowa, it's kind of given Paul a little bit more electability. In other words, a lot of people in the media and stuff, they get too hung up on his foreign policy, and I even sometimes do. I think there's no way they're going to vote for him. But the truth is, when you look at the polls about what issues people care about the most, foreign policy is not even in the top 4 or 5. I'd say top 3. I know. The top issues are spending, the economy, the deficit, and the debt. That's the issues, and no one's better on those issues than Paul. As far as cutting spending, he's going to be the best goalie, to stop the Congress from getting shit through that we shouldn't have passed. So he's going to veto almost everything. He's going to stop crap from getting through, unless it's a spending cut, unless it's a lowering of taxes. Of course, we'd rather lower spending first, then worry about taxes, because he's against deficits. So I'll try to put a linkage below to these. I could put a link below to their Twitter page, and then this poll. But this is great news, and no, I did not just save a bunch of money on my car insurance. So it should be interesting to see what happens from this point forward. Hotair.com, they're reporting on this. They're excited over Perry's 9%. Man, he's unelectable.